How's everybody doing, man? Welcome to the MLC. Stands for the Mr. Limba channel. This is your brother, Mr. Limba. And today's topic, I'm going to touch on a little bit of everything. I'm going to do a little bit of the social media talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about science and a little bit about ancient texts. And the ancient text I'm talking about is the Bible. I'm not going to preach. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to push nothing on you. I'm just going to make an analogy and show you guys something you probably haven't looked into in detail. So bear with me, this will be interesting. Now, we all know Ginuwine, the singer, and he's part of the show Celebrity Big Brother, says UK here. I'm reading from the article The Blaze. He was ripped by some social media followers after rejecting the advances of a fellow cast member who's a transgender woman. In other words, that means that's a man by birth that transitioned into a woman. Her name, whatever you want to address this individual, this transgender individual by, India Willoughby, I believe that's how you pronounce the last name, a journalist, was sitting next to Ginuwine on a couch and lamenting that a lot of guys wouldn't go out with somebody like me, even though I'm a woman. Now, here's my take real quick before we go any further. Coming from a straight man, I'm a straight man, 100%. You could never be a woman to us. We may, how should I say this? We may feel sensitivity towards your claims and address you as a she, especially in the workplace. If you are a student in our classrooms, if we are a professor or if we are your doctor, we may refer to you as a she. We may say ma'am. We may refer to you as her, changing the pronouns. But sexually, you will never be a woman to a 100% heterosexual male. Now, the argument that's being made here is that this person, this individual, believed that she's a woman. So in his mind, they wouldn't be gay. The act between you as a straight man and them would not be gay. Coming from a straight man, I'm going to tell you that's bull. Okay? That's not going to happen. Let's keep going. Another cast member seemed to agree, pointing to, quote, fragile masculinity, unquote. Once again, the shaming tactic. I don't know how can masculinity be fragile. The only way you have masculinity is to be 100% man. Let's keep going. As the reason why straight men don't get involved with transgender women. That's a contradiction. How could a straight man screw a dude that transitioned to look like a woman? Whether or not they have boobs or they cut off their genital area, the penis, it's still a man transition into a woman. So if another man gets with that man, he is no longer a straight man. Contradiction. Ginuwine jumped into the conversation saying that it's a personal choice and that he would choose not to be with transgender women. India then called out the singer. You would go out with a woman, right? Yes, of course, Ginuwine replied, but you wouldn't go out with a transsexual woman. She pressed on. Or he pressed on. No, the singer answered. So basically what happened was she tried to kiss him. I'm not going to go any further. So the man basically tried to kiss him. And the singer, Ginuwine, would not accept it. So he got some social media backlash, calling him a homophobe, transgender phobia, and all the other word choices that they have nowadays. So I decided that I should talk about this. I decided that let me dive into this subject and talk to the straight men who follow my channel, who come across my channel, the red pill men. And instead of talking about women, I'm going to give you guys red pill content of just being aware of what's going on and how our masculinity is under attack. Alright? The idea of us being afraid, having a phobia, which these things are not actually listed in the DSM, which I believe is the psychological book of all the psychological definitions and terminologies, explaining what phobias are and the phobias that are listed. Okay, these are completely social construct words that are made up, words that do not actually exist, nothing that you can scientifically evaluate and break down or prove. Keep that in mind. Now, if you or I, as a straight man, refuse to exchange saliva or have another man put his saliva on our face or mouth or wherever, we are hateful. We are labeled as being hateful. Now, mind you, as straight men, we don't want certain women, women who were born as women, anywhere near us in a romantic, sensual, or sexual manner. In other words, we're not attracted to all women. Some of us are not even attracted to certain races of women. But you want straight, 100% heterosexual males to get involved sexually with men that are physically transitioning to become women. I want you straight men to let that sink in who are listening to me. I want you guys to let this saute. Let your soul saute into this. Alright? Marinate yourself into what I'm saying. Understand the logic that is being pushed on us. Now, I don't see why is Ginuwine under any attack, right? Why would he be? He didn't say he hate the individual. He didn't mistreat the individual. Actually, he rejected sexual advances. He could have done it if an actual woman who was born a woman did it. Just because he's not attracted to her, or maybe he's in a monogamous relationship. Think about what's going on. Now, I promised you guys some science. So, let's do some science. This is an article, I believe, from back in 2016, right? And this article proves what I'm about to say and what all of us already know. Now, a person is saying they are born a man, but really on the inside they are a woman. India, which is this individual's name, wished to be referred to as just a woman. She says, take out the trans, wouldn't you still date me? But you see, on the biological level, we're still dealing with a man. Now, we shouldn't even have to go into this. We should not even have to break this down this way. But apparently our society is so Babylonian, not to get too biblical with you guys, even though I will touch on the Bible. Our society is so upside down that we have to actually go into some science to talk about this. This is about crime scenes in saliva, for example. Alright? Let's talk about this article here. Saliva at crime scenes could reveal gender, assist investigations in real time. Whoa, are you saying that your spit can prove it is man's spit and not woman's spit? Let's keep reading. Forensic investigators could get a head start on tracking down suspects using a new technology to assess saliva for gender. According to a new study, the technique is part of a growing body of work at the University of Albany intended to assist detectives in real time using tools directly at a crime scene right from the moment of discovery. The researchers reported being able to determine gender with 94% accuracy. The report in the latest issue of the journal Analytical Chemistry. This would be done entirely on site with the use of a portable Raman instrument, all without risking any damage to the sample. The author writes, it would allow investigators to immediately develop a preliminary suspect or victim profile at a crime scene. Currently, saliva can be collected and then processed at a laboratory using intensive techniques, but that is time consuming and it also potentially destroy the sample. Excuse me, I have to read that quickly. I don't want to take too much of you guys' time. But this is pretty much promoting a new technology that they have to determine the gender of an individual right on the crime scene based off their saliva. But what I'm trying to point at is even deeper than that. It's the fact that saliva can be male or female. You can tell if someone's saliva, based off their saliva, if it came out of the mouth of a man or a woman. Understand that? So you want me as a straight man to swap my masculine saliva with another man? You got to be out of your mind. And you still want to call me a straight man after that? No, bro, you're not straight. If you are willingly swapping your spit with another man's spit, this individual believes they are a woman. Now guys, if I told you that I was really a 10-year-old boy, ignore the bass in my voice, ignore the fact that I'm above 6'2", ignore the fact that I'm a grown man, or at least I look like one, right? But in my mind, I am a 10-year-old boy, and I want to take your 10-year-old daughter to the elementary school prom. Think about that crap. You would probably lose your mind, and you should. I would. If an individual came up to you and said, I want to take your son to the prom, the elementary school prom, and your son is 10 years old for the 5th grade prom, and this woman, let's say, is 35 or appears to be 35, but you're supposed to ignore that because on the inside they are a child. This is where we are. In most cases, you would call that a case of I don't know what you call it, but you probably would think that person's out of their mind. I don't exactly have a clinical term for it. Neither am I saying anyone who's transgender have a clinical issue. I'm not even going to get into that right now, but you guys are just seeing my point. Now, you may ask, as you seen the picture before of her trying to kiss him, what does this individual look like? Let's see. Alright, here we go. Now, gentlemen, straight men, red pillars, Mgtows, Ibmors, alphas of today's time, they have made our women masculine. We cannot deal with our women. We already complain about it as red pill men because our women have become masculine, and that's why we are probably not in relationships with them. We're getting divorces and we're having the relationship issues that we are having as heterosexual males in heterosexual relationships, right? Now they want us to date men that look like women, men who have fabricated vaginas and breasts. Keyword fabricated. Now you see the individual that wants India, that wants to be called a woman. Now this is her on the right hand side of your screen prior to her transition. Now do you want to kiss the individual on the right as a heterosexual male? I'm sure you would not. Well, that is the same individual on the left hand side of your screen. We as straight men, most of us actually don't hate anyone who chooses to do whatever they do. We may not agree with it, but we don't hate them. But do not expect us to partake in it. This intolerance is out of hand. There is no reason for the singer Ginuwine to get backlash off of social media, which they probably maybe kick him off the show, or try to hurt him financially, as they always do. They gotta come after you politically, they gotta come after you financially, they gotta socially castrate you. They have to find all kind of ways to eliminate you, shut down your business and everything, because they pushed themselves on you and you said, look, I don't hate you, I just disagree and I wish not to partake in that. That is labeled as hate. This is where we are, people. But you know what? This intolerance is not new. See, that's why I like ancient texts. I would read the ancient Sumerians. I'll read the ancient Indians. I'll read the anything from the ancient Aztecs that can be salvaged and found. Anything from the ancient Africans, West and East Coast. Everything from the ancient Egyptians. I love ancient texts. And today we're going to talk about the ancient Hebrews. We're going to talk about a quick passage, nothing long, no preaching, not the typical stuff you're used to hearing. And that's why I left it for last. I want you brothers to go over this with me as red pill men, atheists or not. Let's just see what the Bible has to say regarding this intolerance. Is it new? Because we have to admit that this is intolerant. If you're telling this individual, I don't have a problem with what you do, I don't hate on you, just that I don't want to partake in it, and I want to keep my family who are living in my home, my kids, my wife, whatever, out of it. Or if you're a woman, your husband, out of it. And they're telling you, no, you can't do that. You hate us. We must destroy your finances. We must destroy everything that you have. We must embarrass you in society and castrate you out of society. Because your masculinity is toxic, because your masculinity is at 100%. What is wrong with our nature as men, as being masculine? We must be in our feminine in order to be approved by the people of this modern times. We must be feminine to our women and let our women be masculine. Now, they know something is wrong with this, because even in gay relationships, you tend to find homosexual relationships, you tend to find an individual that is more masculine than the other. You find some that are feminine, and you find some who are masculine. Two lesbians, one tends to be more masculine than the other. Even if they both look like lipstick lesbians, what they call two pretty girls, one tends to be more masculine than the other. You find two very muscular gay men. If you look closely, one of them tends to have a more feminine mannerism, because you need the polarities. But they're telling us that we're thinking in, quote, binary way of thinking, because nature no longer presents masculine and feminine as the dominant force of the sexes. Now, you may have glitches here and there. Oh boy, I actually said glitches. Now they're gonna take what I said twisted and say that I actually called them a glitch. Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. You know, the truth is here. So if this video end up in snippets, you know, the truth is in the whole piece right here. But anyway, you know, we already see in nature that you know, it's masculine, feminine. They know it themselves. You know, within their homosexual relationships, you find one to be more masculine, one tend to be more feminine. Some will tell you straight up between two men that, look man, I don't take, I just receive. Really? But you want us to not think as heterosexual people that there are those who are feminine and masculine. You don't want us to think and say, look, that's a woman, that's a man. That's wrong, right? I just proved to you that your DNA does not change. Your bone density does not change. A man is a man till death. So is a woman. Alright? Now, anyway, let's talk about this intolerance. This intolerance, let's say, let me give you guys another example. I gave you guys the example of being in the wrong body as a child. Let's say someone said they were trans age. Let's say that was a word, and they wanted to take your 10-year-old to prom, to their elementary school prom, even though they're somewhere in their 30s or their 40s, because they believe you should be sensitive to them, because on the inside they are a child. We all would think that's absurd, go crazy, at least for now, because our society is going further into a hole. But anyway, as we continue, regarding the intolerance, let's say, for example, a person came to you and they said they're a Christian or they are a Muslim, and they believe that their religion is the true religion, and they serve, that's the only way to God, right? Now, that's not very uncommon. I'm using it as an example. Here comes the intolerance and the exaggeration. Now you tell them that's fine. You are free to practice what you want. You are free to believe what you want. Heck, you want me to call you the true follower of God? I will even call you the true follower of God, even though I don't agree with it, even though I don't believe in your faith or your religion. But then they turn around and they tell you, you must partake in this faith and in this religion. And if you refuse to, you are now hateful. You are now against their freedom to believe how they want to. You are now oppressing them. You are now no different than the Nazis. That is called being extremely intolerant. Because it doesn't matter how much leniency that you give, how much you allow them to have their freedom, you cannot have your freedom to think freely. You cannot have your freedom to be who you are. You must partake in what they're doing. Otherwise, you have toxic masculinity. And you know what people do with things that are toxic. So heterosexual men, red pill men, understand, you're already in trouble. Now, let's see what the ancient text that I was talking about, the Bible it is today, some other days it might be a different one, has to say regarding this intolerance. Let's see if it's new. This is the New Living Translation of the Bible because it's more plain English, so I'm not going to read Shakespeare English for those of you guys who like the King James, because not everybody here are Bible followers. I want this to be clear and easily understood. In Genesis, the first book, the 19th chapter, the 5th verse to the 10th verse. Let's read. There was a character named Lot, okay? And let's see what happened. He had some visitors. They shouted to Lot, "Where are the men who came to spend the night with you? Bring them out to us so we can have sex with them." So he was in a very gay community at the time, in this ancient time, if you would. A community that practiced heavy homosexuality. And he had some visitors come over. Now, in the Bible, those visitors are known as angels. Some would say they're just messengers. Others believe that there are actually heavenly angels. Either way, they appeared to be human males. Now, the people in the town are telling him, let them come out so they could have sex with those men, whether or not those men asked for it. So Lot, the main character here, stepped outside to talk to them, shutting the door behind him. "Please, my brothers," he called them. He begged, "don't do such a wicked thing. Look, I have 2 virgin daughters. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do with them as you wish. But please leave these men alone, for they are my guests and are under my protection." See, this was a negotiation piece right here. Now, it's wrong to even give his daughters, but he's trying to prevent something worse from happening. You see? But guess what? Let's see what happened with the negotiation. Let's see what happened with him trying to be understanding to them the best way he could, like we are today as straight men. Let's see what they say. Verse 9. "Stand back," they shouted. "This fellow came to this town as an outsider, and now he's acting like our judge." Where have we heard this before? Any disagreement, any telling them that we don't really agree with this, but we don't hate you, you can do what you do, we still love you, is considered judging and even hate. They told him, "We'll treat you far worse than those other men. In other words, we'll rape you too." And they lunged towards Lot to break down the door. Verse 10. But the 2 angels reached out, pulled Lot into the house, and bolted the door. So the guests that they were trying to have sex with, the angels, actually saved the host and pulled them in the house and bolted the doors. This is the intolerance, right? We're seeing in this piece right here heavy intolerance. They want to have sex with two men, which are two guests of Lot, who do not wish to have sex with them, who did not even have a conversation with them. And just because he said no, kindly calling them his brothers and begging them, which he shouldn't have to do, offering him his virgin daughters, which he really shouldn't have to do, they told him, nah, you're just judging us. Actually, we're going to do you worse than those men. And they went to get him. I remember the radio host, the infamous, not very much liked by anyone else besides hardcore conservatives, known as Rush Limbaugh, conservative radio host. He said once in his very weird voice, when I was in the military, being gay was prohibited. Then it was don't ask, don't tell. Then it was allowed. Soon it will be mandatory. Now, I was laughing. Of course, I listen to everyone, regardless if I believe what you're saying or not, because I like to expand my knowledge. Tolerance makes you smarter. But tolerance does not mean partaking of. Anyway, he wasn't so far off, because since we're noticing here with Ginuwine, a straight man refused a kiss from a man who makes himself look like a woman, and he's under attack. So to all my straight brothers, get ready, man. It's coming. I'm out.